What we are very proud of now, the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, that we penetrate the cabinets.
I also want to reiterate how deeply sorry Canada is for the situation this put President Zelensky and the Ukrainian delegation in. It is extremely troubling to think that this egregious error is being politicized by Russia and its supporters to provide false propaganda about what Ukraine is fighting for.
Why does this government treat Alberta like a fart in the room that nobody wants to talk about or acknowledge?
I heard her say a word that I know is distinctly unparliamentary, and I think she may want to withdraw it. The word was F-A-R-T.
I mean, we love your Mr. Trudeau. I mean, his family's always been such big fans of our flag.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode, what episode is it? 18 of the Maple Files. I am your host, as always, Snow Himbo. And yeah, we're gonna get right fucking to it. God damn, we got a lot to cover. Especially considering I am doing this as I'm keeping my eyes peeled because there's an impending Liberal Party meltdown going on up here in Canada where Chrystia Freeland, the finance minister, has resigned. Everybody's kind of keeping their eyes peeled on whether or not Justin Trudeau is going to resign. Holy shit. The leader of the NDP, Jagmeet Singh, is calling on Prime Minister Trudeau to resign. There's a lot of updates in real time. I think we're good for the moment. I'm not seeing anything too crazy as of this second. Anyway, hope everybody's having a good December. Happy holidays. I hope you guys are taking it easy. Not working yourselves too hard. After all, December's that one month of the year where you kind of just you're just winging it, you know? Kind of well, it's the holidays. It's a brief reprieve from the horrors of persistent wage slavery, I suppose. So that is hopefully a brief reprieve for everybody here. But we will be much love, Snow. Sorry about your doppelganger. Oh yeah, that's right. I have an impersonator, y'all. I actually shared it here. But yeah. Like I said, you know you've made it when you start getting impersonators. I don't know what the point is to doing this. 0 followers, 0 following. They haven't made any posts. They haven't really replied to anything, so I'm not sure. However, I'm going to get straight into the meat and potatoes of today. So, you guys may have seen, you folks may have seen this post. You guys may have seen this post It originated kind of from the National Post, but it got some pretty broad coverage. Montreal man, 39, dies from aneurysm after giving up on 6-hour wait at the ER. And the reactionaries are out in full force. And as we can observe, Canada is very much on the brink of a serious swing to the right, thanks in no small part to Trudeau's Liberal government not delivering for Canadians, not speaking to their material conditions, as is the case with all neoliberal capitalist governance, really. And you're seeing a lot of reactionaries pushing this story as some kind of, well, let's be real. We all know what's behind it. Behind it is we want to privatize the socialized healthcare system because the socialized healthcare system isn't working. That's almost always what's behind it. And you can see from nothing but the quote tweets, Canadian news has picked up Adam's story. It's surreal and angering and sad to see him as the literal face of our failed healthcare system. Universal healthcare, see? First of all, he was a Zionist, so I don't even care. Second of all, that's not what happened. We'll get into that because that isn't what happened. And we do have some people clapping back. In America, at my emergency, it is often a 6-hour wait. This is not unique to free healthcare, LMAO. But you have plenty, and of course it's an Israel and an American flag. You have plenty of reactionary accounts that are pushing, this is the level of care they want us to have in the US. You have plenty of reactionary accounts across the board, whether it's American reactionary accounts or Canadian reactionary accounts. They're trying to promote Canada as some kind of failed healthcare system. And there's two angles they're trying to do. In the States, especially in the wake of the recent events with the clapped healthcare CEO, thanks to our Lord and Savior, Luigi. They're trying to demonize socialized medicine because the CEO's assassination has created a massive discourse over the failure of the American healthcare system. But we also have a very aggressive and concerted push while the conservative Pierre Poilievre government is looming over the horizon. You're seeing a conservative push to kind of manufacture consent for maybe privatizing Canadian healthcare, giving all sorts of wild hot takes as to how our system has failed us because of the 6-hour wait at the emergency room that this guy had. Now, right off the bat, you might want to ask yourself, why didn't he just not give up? And, well, that's a good call. Because, like, you shouldn't just fucking go home. That's kind of stupid. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, at all. But furthermore, as this is an argument that affects both Canada and America, I want to make this as crystal clear as possible using actual, like, I don't know, facts and information, as opposed to these unbelievably dishonest propaganda tactics where they frame Canada and its healthcare system as some kind of exceptional failure. especially in comparison to America. And you see a lot of reactionaries pushing this very hard. Why are they pushing it really hard? Well, because they want to keep the American healthcare system as for-profit, and B, they want to privatize it up here. But the reality is, despite how sensationalized this story became very quickly on social media, we're going to come back to reality here. And for reference, you can just Google this comparison of healthcare systems in Canada and the United States. They got receipts for everything. I'm just going to go to the relevant little bits here. As reported by the Health Council of Canada, a 2010 Commonwealth survey found that 39% of Canadians waited 2 hours or more in the emergency room versus 31% in the US. 43% waited 4 weeks or more to see a specialist versus 10% in the US. The same survey states that 37% of Canadians say it is difficult to access care after hours, evening, weekends, or holidays without going to the emergency department, compared to 34% of Americans. Furthermore, 47% of Americans and 47% of Canadians and 50% of Americans who visited emergency departments over the past 2 years feel like they could have been treated at their normal place of care if they were able to get an appointment. So what does this mean? Essentially what it means is the wait times are pretty friggin' similar. And there's a lot of evidence to support this. But again, there's a massive propaganda push to try and demonize any sort of socialized medicine. And I'll be the first one to say, guys, I'll be the first one to say that there are problems, like there are things we can improve with Canada's healthcare system. Absolutely. I'm not one of these people sitting there saying it's perfect. You're not going to see me give that take. But for comparable results, I'd say having a system where you don't go into crippling debt or have to fight with health insurance companies just to get a claim approved, that's a pretty good deal. And furthermore, I'd just like to point out as well, for a so-called country that has such a comparatively worse system, Canada is 20th in life expectancy at 82.63 years. Damn, I gotta scroll down, y'all. I had to have missed it. USA, 79.30. So that's 55th place versus 20th place. So, I mean, like, what are we doing here? And furthermore, I've had actual people, Americans, weigh in on this. Friend of the show, Comrade Leah, I had to wait 3 months to even see a doctor, and people I know who have undergone cancer treatments had to wait or travel halfway across the country to not wait as long. It's a bullshit argument altogether. And furthermore, even I myself, I have plenty of friends in America. I have family members who live in America. They report across the board pretty much similar similar wait times, both for a specialist and for in the ER. Hold on, still processing. I waited 9 months to get an appointment for some lady problems here in the US and another 6 months for a colonoscopy. Fortunate to have amazing insurance with only a 10% copay. So, as you can see, there's really not too much of a difference here. But again, you would never know that. You would never know that if you just listened to the reactionary right-wing propaganda sphere that is present all over social media, over the corporate press, all across the board. You would never know that if you just took these people at face value and took their arguments at face value. Especially when they isolate one specific incident. But there's even more to this story that makes it bunk. So this is from Kashif Pirzada. This was the guy's original post here. Had a bit of a health scare last night, but thankfully it wasn't a heart attack. Not sure what it was though, because once they made sure I wasn't dying, I was thrown out into the waiting room, and 6 hours later, I said fuck it and went home. Now again, they're trying to make it seem, and I've seen a lot of accounts online make it seem like the ER like threw him out. He didn't. He wasn't thrown out. What happened was they had him wait in the waiting room because they determined that it wasn't completely emergent. And then he went home. Canadian healthcare, folks, best in the world. Well, I mean, given that you don't have to pay tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars to access, like, basic fucking medical care, I'd say it's pretty good. There are better systems out there. I think the NHS is better. I think a lot of the Nordic countries' models are better. I think a lot of areas, China's is getting up there too. Of course, he posted a selfie because he wanted an excuse to show off his chest. But this MD kind of breaks this down and kind of dispels the incredibly dishonest framing around this unfortunate event. There's a lot of bluster about the inadequacies of the Canadian health system about this unfortunate man who died of an aortic dissection. The truth is, this is one of the hardest things to diagnose in the ER and is something that is easily missed. I'll tell you why. Chest pain is probably the most common complaint that we see in the emergency department. Abdominal pain is the second most common complaint. We take it very seriously, and every patient usually gets an ECG, blood work including troponin levels. This measures levels of heart muscle protein that leaks into the blood if there's heart damage, sign of a heart attack. Chest x-ray to look for any chest abnormalities, pneumonia, pneumothorax, etc. We also monitor repeat ECGs and the troponin levels to establish that things are improving. If all of these tests are negative, the chest pain is resolved, the patient's story is not too concerning, and there's no serious physical findings, we will usually discharge with a rapid follow-up to see a cardiologist for additional testing, usually within days. How can we possibly miss such a devastating diagnosis as an aortic dissection? Because it can show up with all kinds of symptoms. It can be painless. It can mimic acid reflux or a simple back strain. One colleague recently had one elderly patient with stomach flu symptoms of nausea and vomiting, and the only thing that tipped him off was that family members were massaging her back, prompting a CT that discovered the aneurysm. If she went home with some nausea pills, she would have died in her sleep. And as you can see, it's known as one of the great imitators. Much like Lyme disease, lupus. If you've ever seen House, that's a popular one on that show. So again, this isn't an easy diagnosis to make. It is often missed. There's no consistent blood test or physical exam finding that will discover a dissection. There are classic things we look for, like chest pains with neurological symptoms, numbness or weakness in a limb, or chest pain and abdominal pain at the same time, or the textbook tearing pain that radiates to your back. Patients with a history of Marfan's or other connective tissue disease are at high risk, as are people with bicuspid aortic valves. SARS-2, COVID, is known to cause endothelial inflammation and is a likely risk factor, and I've seen a case that developed during the acute phase of the infection. The gods need to smile on you to catch some cases. Those I caught looked like death, and it was obvious something was happening even when the usual tests were normal. But that's not always the case. Colleagues have picked it up because they were sweating too much, or the heart rate was a little high, or I just had a feeling something was off. If you're rushed or harried, or the ED is overflowing, I can imagine not having the time to pay attention to catch the subtle things. How do we diagnose it? A CT scan of the chest with contrast, so that's the dye they inject in your veins so that you can make things out as clearly as possible on the imaging, is the gold standard. Is it practical to CT scan hundreds of people a day to catch possible dissections? Absolutely not. Each CT chest is 5 to 6 MSV of radiation, roughly 3 times your yearly background radiation exposure. Each scan contributes slightly to an increased future cancer risk, and the harm done would have likely vastly exceed the benefit. To critics who think this is a system issue, we don't have to get prior authorization from insurers to do these tests, and it is widely available in most ERs in Canada. Getting the right CT scan protocol also matters. I had one gravely ill patient where we gave contrast according to the protocol to find pulmonary embolisms, and it was negative. The patient was white as a ghost, had a crashing blood pressure, and looked like death. We had to repeat the scan and time the contrast to look for a dissection, and it was positive. He went to the OR and survived. Bottom line, this is a terrible disease, and catching it is often as much a matter of luck as it is medical skill. Keep yourself healthy, and God forbid you need to come to the ED for your chest pain. We will do our best. So, that is kind of the meat and potatoes of this issue. Because you may have seen this, if you're Canadian, you almost certainly saw this floating around social media. This horror story of a man who waited an ungodly amount of time to see any kind of emergency service, and then he was thrown out, and then he died after. What a scary tragedy. We better privatize the healthcare system. This is why I encourage people, guys, look into these stories. Go digging beneath the surface. And if it's something like Twitter, usually something so much as like a quote tweet or like a highly liked comment under the propaganda post is usually a good indicator that you at least have to maybe look a little further than just taking these things at face value. Because there is nothing that would make conservatives happier. Nothing on this planet. There is nothing that would make Canadian conservatives happier than turning Canada into America 2.0. Why do you think they're all dancing and hollering and cheering for the idea that Canada get annexed? And God Daddy Trump swoop in and rescue Canada from the terrible Trudeau government? Now I'll agree that the Trudeau government is indeed terrible. I'll be the first one to say that. I've been criticizing Trudeau's government for years. The only difference is it's from the left, because I don't think neoliberal capitalism is ever going to speak to the material conditions of the working class, and neither should you. But I digress. My main point here is simple. Up here in Canada, you get comparative results to America when it comes to wait times, when it comes to care. The only difference is we have a socialized system. So we pay for that in our taxes. It's not free, as a lot of people misunderstand it to be. But, you know, I think that's a pretty good deal. I think not going into crippling medical debt, going bankrupt, or dying because a claim was denied, I think that's a pretty good deal for comparative results. I think it's pretty good. Also, not for nothing, but let's dig back into this guy. This doesn't really matter, but I just want to show you guys the kind of person who's Canadian, and oh god, look at all these terrible takes. Who's Canadian and shits on our healthcare system. Look at this shit. The American system would in fact be a major improvement, even if still not a great option. They're literally trying to push the dog shit American healthcare system up here. They're trying to push it. And we'll see garbage takes like this. It's not so much our healthcare system that is failing. It is failing under the weight of an overload of Trudeau's 14% increase in our population due to an abhorrent migrant policy. So again, this is just brain dead. Like, they're just kind of riffing off the dome here. Bratney, this is another one of the Canadian like conservative propaganda accounts. I'm convinced these accounts are like paid, kind of the same way like IDF accounts or like the NAFO dogs are. It's kind of around the same. It's kind of around the same sort of. Shtick. Brandon Bedford. I lived in Canada for the first 30 years of my life. Moved to Korea, got a full health checkup, and they found a tumor, asymptomatic, surgery this week. It scares me to wonder if it would have ever been found in Canada. It would have. But again, look at all this. It's all the same NPC talking points. Immigration. I mean, like, holy shit, these people aren't even trying. They're just recycling reactionary American propaganda and just, like, passing it off up here. Sure, capitalism isn't the problem. It's immigrants. Blame immigrants for all of your problems. And you'll just see, if not something like the American system, then what? Healthcare should be a 100% of free market service. See, like, look at all this. But I digress. I wanted to show you guys just the kind of dude this guy was. Where is he? Nothing to see here, guys. Just like an account with barely any followers, a Canadian flag, but like a MAGA hat. Trudeau's Canada. Did anyone read the entire article? That's good. Common Canadian elk. It's just endless accounts pushing this. We really need to privatize Canadian healthcare. And if you don't actually look this shit up, yeah, his name was, if you don't look this shit up, you're just going to accept the reactionary framing on it. Yeah, so his name was Adam Burgoyne. So this is his post. And I just want to show you guys what kind of dude this is. First of all, he's a narcissist. Let's dig a little deeper here. Where is it? It's always somewhere. Come on, where is it? I'm dedicated because I know these types of people. Oh god, he's one of those people that just recycles like the same memes. And oh my god, the amount of like this is an unreasonable amount of selfies. Holy shit. Figget Industries? What does that mean? Okay, so there's a lot of transphobia, which is like, come on, dude, aren't you punching sideways? Okay, this guy posts more than anybody on Earth. Let's do this. Oh, look at that. Here we go. So, I mean, this is neither here nor there. I'm not going to say, like, this is why I'm, like, you know. You guys get it, right? But, like, he's not a very nice dude. So, kind of a piece of shit. Probably shouldn't have thrown a tantrum and left the ER. That was probably an L on his part. But you know. Anyway, we're gonna move on. Sorry, I'm just checking for updates. Oh shit. Just trending, Trudeau. Okay. Nothing yet, but we are monitoring the situation very quickly. I'd be very surprised if he did resign. But this is from Chrystia Freeland. You're gonna have to zoom way the fuck. Oh my god. Okay, we're switching to an article. But basically, she has resigned. CBC has the report here. Trudeau faces frustrated MPs after Chrystia Freeland's shock resignation. Freeland's abrupt departure prompts a political crisis for Trudeau. The latest. At caucus meetings, some Liberal MPs tell PM he has to step down after Chrystia Freeland's shock resignation. Trudeau says he will take time to reflect on caucus concerns, sources say. And again, just because I have studied psychology, this is like, I have two thoughts. The first one being, this is obviously like the last thing a narcissist is ever going to do, willingly relinquish like any kind of control or power. He'd rather tank his party completely and take a massive L to the reactionaries. And I don't think it's by chance that the whole Western world seems to kind of just be shuffling towards, reactionary governance. It's kind of in a concerted effort. Trump wins, and now the liberals are falling apart, much like the Democrats fell apart, and conservatives are looking to sweep across the board. I don't think any of this is by accident, but that's my beautiful tinfoil brain here we're talking about. So, at least 7 Liberal MPs, including a former cabinet minister, publicly say Trudeau must resign. Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc has been sworn in as Canada's new finance minister. Despite the drama, fall economic statement was tabled, showing a big deficit of more than $60 billion. So, I mean, we're not doing nearly as bad as America, but hey, we're catching up. These are the important bits. Freeland says the Prime Minister told her Friday he no longer wanted her to serve as finance minister. And rather than accept a job change, she resigned as of today. In a letter to Trudeau announcing her resignation, Freeland denounced Trudeau's costly political gimmicks, which, of course, they are costly political gimmicks. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says Trudeau must call an election right away. Well, of course, because he's trying to call an election every 5 goddamn minutes. Because the dude can't wait to get in, gutter social safety nets, and just repeat axe the tax over and over again. Also, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh says Trudeau must resign. Ooh, this is breaking. NDP House Leader Peter Julian tells CBC News the party will vote non-confidence in the Liberal government if Trudeau stays on into the new year. And we're going to go straight to Jagmeet himself.
Struggling with the cost of living. Canadians are struggling with the cost of living. I hear it everywhere I go. People cannot find a home that they can afford. They can't buy their groceries. And on top of that, we have Trump threatening tariffs at 25%, which put hundreds and thousands of Canadian jobs at risk. And instead of focusing on these issues, Justin Trudeau and the Liberals are focused on themselves. They're fighting themselves instead of fighting for Canadians. And for that reason, today I'm calling on Justin Trudeau to resign. He has to go. Canadians are struggling with the cost of living. I hear it everywhere.
So there you got it. So there's a bit of a Liberal meltdown as of this moment in the Canadian government. And like I said, I don't think this is accidental. I think instead of addressing the material conditions of the working class, I think the West in general has opted for a reactionary framing. And because the propaganda network, and I mean shit, just go look at social media. You've got Pierre Poilievre bot accounts everywhere. I see these every day now, just filling up my For You feed. Excuse me. You've got a real reactionary push across the board. And I think, again, this would be a great opportunity for the NDP to tack to the left and start offering bolder, populist, progressive policies. But they're not going to do that because the reality is Canada's NDP is almost as out of touch as the Liberals are. I'm sorry, they are. I think Jagmeet should step down too. I think Canada needs a direction that is not just going back to Stone Age conservative politics. I think that's going to bury us. Because let me be the first one to tell you, folks. Okay, Pierre Poilievre is going to be great for upper class people. He's going to be great for capitalists. He's going to be great for corporations. He's going to be terrible for you. He is going to be dog shit for you because conservatives, there's no other way to say this, they look down on poor people. Liberals do too. But the difference is liberals at least have the sneakiness to put on a mask that the conservatives feel proud enough just leaving off entirely. That's the only difference between liberals and conservatives. One of them stabs you in the stomach, the other one stabs you in the back. That's it. That's all it is. That's all it's ever been. Stop holding out for hope that liberals are going to do anything materially for you or your family. They're not going to. It's just that we have the same problem here as the States does, where we've got this lesser evil where there's no good options. There's no even like reasonable options. There's just dog shit option and then way worse option that is attacking the dog shit option. We're seeing it right here in America. Okay, the timeline. Donald Trump spent a lot of energy criticizing Joe Biden for the cost of groceries. He ran campaign ads criticizing Joe Biden for the cost of groceries. What's Trump saying now? That it's going to be really hard to lower grocery costs because once they go up, it's hard to get them down. It's going to be the exact same thing with Pierre Poilievre. If he wins, you're going to see him walk back every single propaganda piece that he's been dishing out. because this is the Conservatives' bread and butter. They attack the party in charge for valid concerns, and then once they get in office, they deliver zero solutions and proceed with their ultimate goal of turning Canada into America. And that is, mark my words, the ultimate goal of the Conservatives in Canada. It is making Canada into America 2.0. They would probably like nothing more than for Canada to just become another American state, like you've seen all across social media. Okay, that's Trump sure did say that. Hey, cookies. Yeah, he did. And that's the go-to. That's my point. That's always going to be the go-to when it comes to reactionary politics. Like, and it's so easy too. I should run as a Marxist and just use, I should run as like a Marxist under a like fucking commie party in Canada and just use the same tactics conservatives use because they work. You just go, okay, let's see. What are some like no duh problems that I can point out? Okay, the cost of living sucks. Prices across the board have gone up. Wages aren't rising to meet, the price of rent, the price of housing, the price of food, the price of common goods. Let's see. Housing costs are through the roof. Any number of problems. The amount of foreign aid we're giving to conflicts that Canada should not be a part of to begin with. I could just point all those out. But then instead of conservatives, I would offer like real tangible solutions with real like actual practical application. I'm surprised why this is what I don't get about the NDP and other left-wing parties. Just run using conservative tactics, which are successful. Just point out the valid concern. Just say, hey, I hear you. I know this is a problem. Because the liberals are going to sit there and going to say all day long, they're just going to say, nope, that's fine. The economy is actually pretty good. Sorry, sweaty. No, you know what? Like, you're not doing that bad. You're fine. You're fine. You're good. Pat you on the back. Just speak to people's real material concerns and say, look, I get it. This does suck. This party is dropping the ball. They promised to go to bat for you, and they're not doing it. I will. That's all you need. That's all you need. You could get an actual left-wing party in Canada by just using the same tactics. And don't take the fucking high road either. You could absolutely lay waste to conservatives. Up here in Canada, after Harper's government, after Harper drove the economy straight off a cliff, all the way down to the depths of fucking hell, oh, you could absolutely home run that. Furthermore, something else a left-wing party could do is point out how often the conservatives and the liberals vote together, which is a staggering amount of times. Again, something that, I don't see covered a whole lot. This would also be a really good opportunity for the NDP to be like, hey, these conservatives and these liberals, they pretend like they're oil and water, like they're night and day, but they're actually really similar. They're completely beholden to their corporate masters. And they don't give two shits about the working class, which makes up the majority of the country. That's the majority of the people. I'll be a government for the majority of people. And corporations and billionaires, they're doing well enough. They're doing well enough as is. But unfortunately, our parties up here are largely ineffective. And the conservatives are always going, here's the problem with right-wing politics. Excuse me. And we covered this on a past issue. Conservatives will always create the illusion of being more successful because conservative politicians will always, always, always have more capital backing them. They'll always be backed by more money. You look and you see all these high quality, I mean, shit, let's give it a quick peep. Just I'll show you what I mean. And I've seen these advertisements all across social media, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. These conservative damn, where the fuck is he? I can never get his fucking stupid name right. Let's just go peep this real quick. Look at some of these ads, man. Where's a good one? That's in French. Let's get another one going.
This is going to be something that will, because we've been through the work.
Look at the like high quality photo shoots here. Let's try and find a YouTube one. All right, fuck it, I can't find it. For some reason, they're mostly on like YouTube and social media.
This week, Prime Minister has lost a contract.
But I mean, at the end of the day, as a rule, you'll see a lot more advertising on social media, on TV, on radio. Since Pierre rose to prominence, I feel like I'm just like being subjected to a continual like reactionary brainwashing campaign because I see Pierre Poilievre everywhere. You know how often I see the fucking NDP? I'll see an occasional ad like once a week, if even. Just check to see if there's any movement here. God damn, everybody is buzzing on social media about this. This kind of breaks it down pretty nutty. 60 Liberal MPs will sign a letter calling on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to resign. 60. That's the majority of them. The wide majority. So it's pretty touch and go. I have been wrong before. I'll be the first one to say that. But I will say that I'm probably going to go on record and say that I don't think Trudeau's going to resign. I think this is going to be a Biden situation, and I've done a video on this before, but like Joseph Robinette Brandon, Justin Trudeau's a narcissist. A lot of politicians are. It kind of attracts them to the role. You represent far more powerful forces, but you get all the adoration of the masses. It's perfect for narcissists. Hey, Natalie. I like how lefties like Jank visit a conservative talk show host set and are in awe of how much money goes into the set and stuff. And now we know why TYT is leaning right. Show me the money. Yeah. And that's because much like the role it does have in politics, whereas you'll usually find a lot more money backing it, you know, similarity. There's so much more money grifting on the right, guys. Seriously, if I woke up tomorrow and was like, not just me, if INN woke up tomorrow and was like, okay, we're going to be right-wingers, we'd probably magically not be shadow banned anymore. That would probably just magically evaporate. And we'd probably all be making absolute fucking bank. And it's no surprise why. Like, look how rich these right-wing grifters are. Look how much money they make. Also, social media, YouTube algorithms, like, they eat right-wing shit up. They eat it up. It's delicious. You get elevated so easily. If I wanted to say, like, fuck it, I'm going to sell my morals and just, like, get that bag, like, you grift on the right. And to your point, Natalie, that's why you're seeing left-leaning outlets like TYT, you know, kind of embrace the whole, like, right-wing sort of, you know, why I left the left. That's why you see so many of these lefties leaving the left. It's because they're probably tired of the shadow banning. They're probably tired of the lack of engagement. They're probably tired of the constant smear campaigns, which is going to come with any sort of support of anything that threatens power ever. And a lot of these people say, fuck it, I'm leaving the left. What they really mean is, I'm going to go get that bag. Right? I'm going to go make a bill. I'm going to go make some bank. I want a cottage. I want a second cottage. Exactly, Cookies. You'd be making so much money you could build your own skate park and wear beanies. Tim Pool's a great example. Look at the empire he's created. And Tim Pool doesn't even have, like, actual serious policies or, like, opinions on anything. He just does right-wing culture war shit every show. And it sells. Look how much money he makes. Look how much foreign money he made. You know, this is bank. So in closing, that's I hope I was able to kind of break down, like, the climate up here in Canada. It kind of mimics the climate in America. You can expect this to get a lot worse, and there's going to be a weird contradiction, whereas the shit on top, the forces on top are going to push this right-wing slop super hard. But it's also coming simultaneously at a time that the masses are gaining class consciousness. So I feel like at some point we are absolutely going to see some kind of clash. We're already seeing it. We're already seeing it majorly with the issue with the CEO getting clapped. We're already seeing it with the backlash from these right-wing propagandist audiences saying, hey, no, what the hell? Like, I totally get why he did that. Healthcare's fucking awful. Like, this is terrible. And they all have a horror story about it. So, as the contradictions heighten, you're going to see a lot more of that, where hopefully, at least my hope is, a lot of these people who follow these right-wing channels are going to realize really quickly just how detached they are from their followers. Because they're already showing it with this situation with the CEO, where they're all painting the CEO as some kind of hero, and this guy is some kind of terrible, horrible monster. And that's because they have different material interests. They have different class dynamics than you or me. Anyway, that's it for tonight. That's all I really had. Hopefully Yeti Jesus will be back next week. Just wanted to give a quick update on the rapidly unfolding developments and break down some things about Canadian healthcare that I feel like I needed to say some shit on. But I will be back this Thursday with another crazy episode of Snow Himble Streams. Maybe we'll get some gaming done, but we will definitely have some interesting shit to talk about. So without further ado, I'm going to call it there, but keep questioning everything, everybody. And yeah, at the end of the day, hope everybody has a great week. See ya, Dane. Luigi the Goat. Indeed, Luigi the Goat. I hope they don't find Mario. Anyway, everybody have a great night.